Hello guys and welcome to another episode by Client Centric. I'm your host Matthew Coppola. Well, today we're going to be talking about peer pressure in the workplace, what peer pressure is and how to deal with it. Well, unfortunately, peer pressure doesn't end at school. It follows us into the workplace, and many times people at work have to deal with peer pressure from their co-workers. Now, what is peer pressure? Peer pressure is when a group tries to exert influence over you. It's when they start to influence your behaviour, your attitude, to try to fit into a group norm. Now, like I mentioned earlier, it follows us into the workplace. This is not something that necessarily just happens at school. It does happen in the workplace and is an issue that many people have to deal with at all levels, whether you're an entry-level worker or whether you're at an executive level. Now, it's only natural to want to be accepted by our peers. You know, influence from your peers shouldn't necessarily be viewed as a negative. In fact, if the influence from your peers is good, is upbuilding, it can actually be a good thing. I'll give you an example of a butcher sharpening a knife. Now, that butcher will sharpen a blunt knife into something that's sharp, ready to cut. Now, if your work peers have mature, professional and respectful attitudes, that can help sharpen your knowledge and your skills in the workplace. So that's a good thing. However, not all workplaces offer upbuilding and positive influences from your work peers. Many of your colleagues in both your working life will lack in professionalism, will lack in honesty, and will be disrespectful. They may have opinions or views that are unreliable and even false. So if you do become under the control of your peers, whether it be to cover someone's shift or gossip about another co-worker, it may be a little as a fool leading a fool. You know, you don't want to be as foolish as they are. It's important to know when you're being influenced and how to respond accordingly. Now, you may think it's not easy to be intimidated by what your colleagues think of you, but when you're faced with peer pressure, it's another story. For example, what would you do in the following circumstance? Now, one of your peers comes in to work late, and they keep coming into work half an hour late, but they come up to you and they ask that you put it down to your boss that they're coming on time. Okay? They either ask for you to check in for them on time. And that's influence. That's peer pressure. What do you do? What do you do in that situation? It's not an easy situation to deal with. Another situation might be emails circulating around the office. Whatever it might be, but there's an email coming from someone else to you, and you probably feel pressured to have to engage in that, engage in emailing back and forth and respond. You don't want to be that person who is not involved, that stands out like a sore thumb. And so it's not an easy situation to deal with. However, it's important to note that giving into peer pressure, is like allowing others to do the thinking for you. Okay? The moment that you step back to think about the actions that you're going to make because of your peer influences is the moment that you will have the courage to stand up to them. It's important to use your own thinking abilities, being able to reason, being able to stop and think, okay, am I being influenced by my peers? And then that requires you to basically stand up to them, basically to say, no, I'm not going to give in to your thinking, whether it be right or whether it be wrong. It's influence. It's peer pressure. Now, take, for example, your co-workers ridiculing management, okay? Their negative attitude rubs off on others, and it may rub off on you. However, it's really important to not let their negative views affect you. If they continue to have those negative attitudes in the workplace, well, they're not going to get very far at work. And so it's important to not give in to their thinking, to their reasoning, to not have to feel that you need to follow the group norm. Okay, like I said, you're allowed to do your own thinking. You're your own person. It's up to each of us to make decisions for ourselves, not have to feel that we need to give in to influences from others. So, what do you do if someone is giving you peer pressure or is trying to ask for your opinion or your views? Well, you can say to them, well, look, am I not entitled to my own view? You can say, am I not entitled to my own view? Or, look, am I not entitled to think for myself? I understand what you're saying, but I prefer to stay out of this. It's not really, that doesn't really have anything to do with me. I don't really want to be involved. That takes courage. Like, for example, you come into work late for whatever reason, and one of your work colleagues says to you, "Oh, did you just wake up? Did you?" You can reply to them by saying, "What are you trying to imply?" This puts it back on them. Okay, this puts them on the spot and has them try and justify why they're pressuring you. Look, for example, if someone asks you to cover for them, okay, you can say to them straight out, "No, I'm not going to cover for your shift." And if they say to you, "Well, why not?" Ask them, "Well, why should I have to cover for your shift? Why? Am I not entitled to making my own decisions about what I do and what I don't do?" And by doing so, asserts your position. I know it might be easier said than done, but it's really important to stand your ground and to be able to say no and put it back on them. Ask them, why are you asking me to do this? Am I not entitled to make decisions for myself? And you'll be surprised. People will, in fact, build a bit of respect for you because you're making decisions for yourself and you're using your own thinking abilities and taking a stand for yourself. Well, thanks, guys. I hope this video was able to help in some way for you to deal with peer pressure in the workplace. If there's anything I haven't covered, feel free to mention in the comments section below. Thanks, guys, and have a good night.